Hey guys, today we are going to be going over the most recent interview that Athena Strand's mom, Maitlyn Gandy, did. I am going to try to have a fierce focus on the victim's humanity and this family's resilience through all of this. I'm going to honor Maitlyn Gandy's strength while navigating the heavy details of this trial. And I will focus on the empathy and the symbols of love she used to get through these last 3.5 years.
So Maitlyn, thank you so much for sitting down with us. And it's been a few years since we've last sat down and talked. A lot's happened. And I want to address the elephant in the room very first. Changed your hair.
I did.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, my hair needed a break, for one. And then, I mean, the pink that I had originally 3.5 years ago was a ironic Christmas mistake. It was supposed to be red and silver, and it turned pink. That's a longer story, but obviously it being Athena's favorite color, and she actually got to see it before, she died, and she loved it. Rylan loves it, my youngest daughter. So I knew that no matter what I wore or what I did, even if Athena doesn't look like her mommy, I wanted people to know that she's mine, and no matter where I go, she's with me. I'm not saying the pink's gone forever, but my hair needed a bit of a break after 3.5 years of bleach and pink.
So you had it for 3.5 years, obviously, to show solidarity with Athena because that was her favorite color.
Let's get into it. Imagine for just a second, you look in the mirror every single morning for 3.5 years, and you see the exact same shade of bright pink hair. People might think it's just a style choice, but for Maitlyn Gandy, it was a complete battle cry. It was a way to tell the world, she's mine, and no matter where I go, she will always be with me, or she's coming with me. Maitlyn just sat down for an interview after the trial of her daughter, 7-year-old Athena Strand, finally ended. And the first thing you notice during this interview, the pink is gone. She said her hair needed a break, but the truth is, the 3.5-year-long fight for justice had reached its end. It just seemed like the perfect timing. Today, we are talking about a mother's unimaginable, I could not imagine, her unimaginable strength. We are talking about that narcissistic monster who tried to bask in his own crimes. And we are talking about a new legacy, a new nonprofit called Athena's Army.
Yes.
And getting back to that 3.5 years, a long time till we got to this point in culmination with this trial that started about a month ago, a little bit over a month ago. Were you nervous at all before it began?
I had full confidence in the DA and the investigators. What I didn't have confidence in was leaving so much up to 12 strangers who I had never met. And I still to this day don't even know their names. But as scary as that was, I felt like the investigators and the DA's office had built such a strong case and had all the evidence that they possibly could have. There was no way that they could have came with a different answer, or at least in my opinion.
You never missed a hearing?
No, sir.
You never missed a moment, a motion in court?
I will say, when I felt that I was getting a little too emotional. I didn't want the defense to be able to, use that against the jury or say anything to the jury or to the judge. So I did exit the courtroom a handful of times, and I did leave prior to what they call the abduction video. And I didn't stay for that.
Leading up to that, though, you were dedicated to seeing everything play out over those 3.5 years.
Yes. The only court hearing I ever missed, I had tested positive for COVID, strep, and flu at the same time. And I felt like Susan Anderson would have used that as a reason to cause another delay. So I chose to not go to that court hearing.
So this is a long time coming. It culminated obviously last month, and then it went on for a month. Your days were spent inside of a courtroom week after week, and you were sitting just feet from the person who took your baby girl. What did that proximity feel like?
Well, I've had that same proximity for 3.5 years. In Wise County, in Tarrant County, I've had that same proximity to him for 3.5 years. The only time Tanner ever showed any kind of emotion was aggression and anger, not only during the trial, but also pre-trial hearings. And it didn't show as outburst or yelling or him crying or anything like that. It's just a matter of his facial expressions changing. So honestly, I wasn't worried about myself. I wasn't worried about anyone. I was more worried about his own attorneys and worried about the DA and the assistant DAs. I guess after so long, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, you don't get used to it. You just get through it.
Well, that had some more gravity once the trial began, I imagine.
Yes, because it's not about me. It wasn't about anybody in that room. It was about Athena. As much as it was the state of Texas versus Tanner Horner, it wasn't about Tanner Horner. It was about what he did and what he took from this world, and that was my daughter.
We had delays, obviously, in the trial with changes of attorney, changes of venue. Case goes from Wise County to Tarrant County. I mean, we were expecting weeks after all of these delays happened of testimony regarding guilt, and then suddenly Tanner Horner pleads guilty on day one. After all of that, after all the delays and kicking the can down the road, what was going through your head when the air just changed so quickly?
I was angry. I was very angry. While he was actually talking to the judge and entering his new plea, me, Jacob, and our family members that were there with us during the trial, we were actually pulled into a different courtroom to be told about the change, because no one knew until about 30 minutes before he actually did change his plea. I think it's just goes to show how selfish and narcissistic Tanner is, because it's all about him all the time, and that's how he likes it. And I definitely don't believe that it was him trying to ease anything for the rest of us. I think it was a last-ditch effort for the jury. I mean, he had lied the entire time. He still has, to this day, not told anyone the truth, even though we have the video, we have the audio, we know the truth. We know why he did it, even if he doesn't say it. But he's so selfish and narcissistic that he can't even get out of his own way to just own up to what he did.
After he pleaded guilty, prosecutors dropped a bombshell. They revealed something that I think the public didn't know, they weren't aware of. They said that this wasn't an accident. They said that this was more calculated, something that was more planned out. And I think a lot of us were shocked by that, to hear the opening statements from the DA. How much of that did you already know, and how much did you learn?
James prepared me as best he could. Whether you hear it or you see it, there's no real way to prepare someone, to prepare someone's parent for that kind of evidence. So I had known for some time the vast majority of what was presented in court. I hadn't known for very long. I found out the whole truth in December when the DNA evidence was confirmed and came back.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of evidence that was presented.
Yes.
A lot of videos, a lot of testimony from police, authorities, investigators. And you've carried so much heartbreak, I think, since Athena was taken from you. And it's evident, I think, just by speaking with you or speaking with any of your family. Was there anything in the trial that brought, I guess, a new weight to that heartbreak? Something that, where you were feeling it all over again?
For me, every single thing that we have gone through for the last 3.5 years is just more confirmation that she's not ever coming back. Mm-hmm. Them finding Tanner, them finding her, and I know that sounds absolutely absurd. I saw her body. I saw what he did to her. Mm-hmm. I've heard the evidence. I've seen the evidence. I think just as a parent, you just can never 100% accept the fact that your child's gone. So going through the trial and hearing everything that Athena had been through and seeing the transcripts of the tapes, which that part I had never known. I still wish to this day that I didn't know, but I do now. But I knew he was lying from the beginning because I knew Athena. I know my daughter very, very well. And if she was going to tattle to one of her parents, it wouldn't have been her daddy. Mm-hmm. It would have always been me. But to have that confirmed, I hope that it took some weight off of Jacob. But it's just everything, every day, it's more confirmation. This is what Athena went through. And everything we tried to do as parents to let her be a kid and be innocent and grow up with a happy life, all of that was ripped away from her and us in that last hour. Mm-hmm. And so it's just more confirmation every time.
You mentioned you hadn't seen the video up until the trial.
I hadn't seen the video in its entirety. Mm-hmm. The only parts that I saw was the beginning clips where he puts her in the truck, mm-hmm. Up until he covers the camera. And then I didn't even know about like him going to a Love's and like doing what he did. I had never seen that part of the video. The only part that I saw, the ending of that video, was him smoking a cigarette driving. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that part was actually before he pulls into the Love's. Mm-hmm. Those are the only parts that I saw. The one bit of audio that I heard was more than enough.
You mentioned that on the stand. You said that I don't want anyone to listen to this. You apologized to the jurors, saying, I couldn't even make it through this video. When you were watching it, what part of it made you say that this enough's enough, I don't want to see anymore?
So back whenever I originally watched it, they didn't have the video in its entirety. It was segmented. Mm-hmm. So the audio portion that I heard, and of course you see what the camera saw, which was nothing, but it still had like the dates and times and then this speedometer on it. Mm-hmm. And so I could tell he was driving and Athena was screaming for him to stop. And he screamed back at her to shut up. And he was playing a Christmas song at that point. I want to be very honest with you. If the father of my child had ever told Athena to shut up, it would have been the end of his life. So to sit there and have to listen to that and know that words that I never allowed to be spoken to my child were so harshly spoken to my child when she was scared and probably already hurt at that point. I couldn't do it. And I'm so grateful that the jury made the right decision by the law and in my eyes. But I will always carry the guilt of all of those innocent people having to have that trauma pushed onto them. Mm-hmm. Nobody should have to go through that, and nobody should have to hear that. But that's the way our justice system works. Mm-hmm. And 13 people took on that burden, and they'll have to live with that for the rest of their life, and I can't take that from them.
You texted me that it was hard to hear her calling for you.
Sorry. You bring a kid into the world, and you try as a parent to make sure that they never get hurt and they're never scared and nothing bad ever happens to them. And for the most part, other than some bumps and bruises, Athena had never been through anything like that. Mm-hmm. And we had, I have a rule with both of the girls that there's no lies between us. So they have to tell me everything that happens, whether I'm around or not, whether it's mean words or anything at all. They have to tell me. And Athena was strong. When she was born, she didn't cry. Not because anything was wrong. It was just Athena was not a kid that cried. Mm-hmm. When she got hurt, she didn't cry. Athena was tough. Yeah. She was tough. She didn't cry when she broke her arm. I had no idea her arm was even broken. Talk about my first top tier failure as a mom. I didn't know until her arm was visibly swollen that something was wrong. And so I took her to get x-rays. But she was just a kid. Yeah. She didn't. And I knew she was in pain, and to not be able to be there for her when I'm the one she wanted. Not daddy, not an aunt, not her grandparents. She wanted her mommy. That adds another level of pain that I can't describe.
There is a moment in this interview that will absolutely break you like it did me. Maitlyn talks about the audio evidence presented in court. She says she heard poor 7-year-old Athena, her baby, screaming for him to stop while he was screaming back at her to shut up. And the whole time this was happening, he was playing a Christmas song. And I think we figured out the Christmas song that he was playing because people were talking. Everyone was talking about this. Maitlyn always had a rule with her girls. No lies. She knew her daughter was tough. Athena did not even cry when she once broke her arm. So to hear her child in that kind of fear, calling out for her mommy, because she knew her mom was the one who would be there to protect her, it's unbearable. But look at the heart of this mother. She says she feels guilt, not for herself, but for the 12 strangers on the jury. She said she felt bad that these innocent people had to take on the trauma of hearing that audio because nobody should ever have to hear that. I'm so glad it was not played. Because you can go through pictures in your mind and you can think about what it might have been like. But I'm almost positive what you think about it being like wasn't near as bad as what it was actually like for that poor baby. And when she was on the stand giving the most emotional testimony of her life, she was literally clutching Athena's red hair bow in her hands just to get through it. The hair bow Athena was wearing on the picture, and the hair bow that she carried around pretty much everywhere.
Let's shift a little bit away from that. I know that was a very tough moment in the trial for you to discuss and talk with the jurors about. But there was also a lot of discussion surrounding Tanner Horner. What stood out most to you about him once you were listening to family members talk about him, his past, where he lived, how he was as a father, and knowing also what he had done to your daughter? What came to mind?
Honestly, he is one of the most selfish people I've ever met. I mean, the level of audacity that he has is astonishing, even to me. Mm-hmm. And when his grandma came in, he was like trying to talk to her. He was trying to mouth things to her. His mother wouldn't even look at him. Which if I was her, I don't think I could look at my own child either. And then when his rape victims came in, just the faces he was making, the faces he gave towards them was disgusting. It was just, you can tell what type of person Tanner is if you truly watch him. And that's all I've been doing for 3.5 years, because I wanted to make sure that if I'm asking people to sentence him to death, that I know exactly who he is. Mm-hmm. And he is what everyone thinks that he is. He is a selfish, narcissistic monster. And monster is really too good of a term for him. But now he'll be nothing. He's going to fade away.
Narcissism is something I want to touch on, because there was a video that was played before the court of him doing his route a day after killing Athena in the area where people are searching, going shoulder to shoulder, looking for your daughter. I think it's a few hours before I think we met outside of Jacob's home. And he's delivering packages. He's frustrated with the traffic. He appears shocked that someone's been kidnapped. What did that video show you?
Well, that's where you're wrong. He didn't deliver a single package down that road. He came to bask in the glory of what he did. That is all he did. And then the frustration, I think, was the panic of hearing a woman say, oh, well, there's been a kidnapping. This isn't just a missing child. She's been kidnapped. Any person will know that, okay, this is a criminal investigation, which I believe at the time that he drove by, no, his grandma had already told him about Athena and sent him the photo. But I can't remember the exact time frame. Right after he drove down that road, I believe is when the first FBI officer got in contact with him, or agent got in contact with him. Mm-hmm. But I remember him driving by. I remember seeing the truck. I knew exactly where I was standing on Jacob's property, and it was like time had slowed down. I didn't think anyone was looking into him at all. Mm-hmm. But I remember seeing him. And I know who he talked to at the end of that road where it dead ends and, you have to turn around. I know who he talked to then, and they had the same feeling that I had had. Same feeling that first FBI officer had. Same feeling Joe Espinoza had. This is him. I think Tanner thinks he's cunning. I think Tanner thinks that he is smart, and the truth is he is not. Mm-hmm. He's smart enough. I do believe he would have continued on. I don't think Athena would have been the only one. In the way that we were blessed is we had great officers and rangers working Athena's case. And I strongly believe, had it been anybody else that was overseeing Athena's case, I would have never gotten her back. I have no doubt that Tanner would have eventually been caught. But how many more victims would he have had?
But you guys, the audacity of this monster that's responsible. Maitlyn describes the defendant, Tanner Horner, as a selfish, narcissistic monster. And honestly, she says monster is too good of a word for him. I think we can all agree on that one. Can you imagine setting just feet, not very far at all, away from the person who took your little baby in the worst imaginable way for 3.5 years? Maitlyn never missed a single hearing or motion besides the one time she wasn't there, when she was literally sick with COVID, strep, and the flu all at the same time. And even then, she only stayed home because she did not want to give the defense a reason to delay the trial again. And while she's sitting there fighting everything she has for her daughter, she's watching him. She says the only emotion he ever showed was aggression and anger. Who are you to be the one to have anger when you done this to this family's baby? They are the ones that deserve to have anger, not you. Just saying, I get off track a little. On the day after he killed Athena, he was actually caught on video driving his delivery route. We've probably all seen this video. Right through the area where the people were searching for her. Shoulder to shoulder. So many people everywhere searching for her. He goes right through. Anger and aggression, then too. People thought he was working, but Maitlyn says he wasn't delivering packages. He was there to bask in his glory of what he had done. That is a level of chilling that I cannot even wrap my head around. He is straight up evil. Evil reincarnated is Tanner Horner.
That whole moment, the carelessness, just ignoring what you had just done, acting like this is new information to you, and you knew all along you were the guy. That speaks to the person that he is.
Yeah. He had it all worked out. He had multiple stories that he gave. The random green van. And then later on in his suicide note to the officers about how there was some elderly man that held a gun to him. I mean, he changed his story numerous times. He did stick with the green van story, you know, during that 3-day time frame. But I think if you look at his search history and you look at who Tanner is and you look at his past, and if you spend as much time as I have watching him, and I don't mean just in person, like I've looked at every video of him on the internet. I went to every profile he has across multiple platforms. I wanted to know who he was. Because for some reason I couldn't accept the real why for a long time.
We mentioned, you know, he had family members that testified on his behalf and talked about him, and some of them were sympathetic to you, to Jacob, to the family, even apologizing on the stand. His mother, his grandmother. Was there any part of that that you could accept or that you could hear them on?
In my opinion, if they're truthfully sorry, they will stand by our justice system and they will stand by what is right by Athena. Tanner's still alive for now. But if they are truly sorry, then they will punish him. They will stop having contact with him. They will stop still rewarding him. I pray his ex-girlfriend and his son stay far away from him. I pray for his son every single night, that he has no influence from his father, and that he breaks whatever cycle that Tanner thinks that he is in, or that his family's in.
At one point in the trial, before all this, before his family took the stand, you took the stand. And it was probably one of the most emotional moments of the trial. And you were there holding Athena's bow in your hands. What did you feel in your heart in that instant?
I felt guilt. I couldn't think about myself in that moment. I was thinking about the innocent jurors. And I know the defense, this is their job, and the prosecution, that is their job. But she's my baby. And to know that they have to live with the trauma of what Tanner did to her, I hold a lot of guilt for a lot of different reasons.
I imagine in that moment, though, you could feel her with you.
I think Athena's always with me. I would like to think that, at least. And then sometimes I wish she wasn't. I don't want her to see me sad. I don't want her to see Daddy sad. One of Athena's greatest fears was Mommy and Daddy growing old and her having to live without us. I used to think it was so funny that was her fear. And now the roles are reversed and we have to live without her. And that's just not how it's supposed to be.
Did you feel her with you throughout the trial? And not just in that moment?
No, she was there. Athena, she wanted to love and be loved. But I also believe that if she had to see the pain that her absence has left, not just me and Jacob, but our entire family, especially her sissies, I think that she would want justice. And I hope that she would be proud of me for everything that I'm trying to do.
Courtrooms can be very strange places. They can be incredibly loud. They can be lonely. And then after you go home, there's a quiet. There's a peace that kind of sets in after a long day. What were those moments like for you?
Well, I mean, as soon as the verdict came back and Tanner was taken out of the courtroom, we were escorted out of the courtroom. Mm-hmm. I haven't slept in 3.5 years. And when I hit the Red River, I've never felt that exhausted. Mm-hmm. I slept very good that night. I haven't slept very good every night since. But I don't know, I feel the same way I did whenever I came home the first time.
Anxious, depleted?
Depleted. It feels like I lost her again. It goes back to that everything that we've been through, every milestone that we've made it through with this case. It's just, it feels like another stone hitting you that she's not coming home. Mm-hmm. That's what it feels like. For me, at least.
The jury did sentence Tanner to death. Took them roughly 3 hours to do that, a little bit under 3 hours. When they came back with a verdict, and it was unanimous, and they read aloud that he was going to be sentenced to death, what did that feel like for you? I mean, did it feel like justice, closure, relief?
That was the second scariest moment of my life. I tried to get a single jury member to look at me, just give me some sign.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I have to, when it comes to my kids, I have to be the person that knows first. And then it was just to hear it read. It was an overwhelming feeling, and I don't really know what I was feeling, but it was very overwhelming to know that at least this chapter has come to a close.
Now that he's sitting on death row and that chapter is over, has peace found you at all? Or does grief just change its shape?
I think grief just changes its shape. That's a good way to say that. I hope one day that I can find a shred of happiness. I feel happiness in small moments with my youngest daughter. But I don't think blissful happiness will ever find me. Athena left a big hole, and I can't fill that.
Athena's name has echoed not just throughout this courtroom that the trial was in, but also beyond it. Online, social media, I mean, strangers were following this case because they were interested in justice for your daughter. What do you think about your daughter today when you know all of that? And what do you want people to most remember about who she was?
I think, well, the overwhelming amount of support that I have felt, that our family has felt, just goes to show how pure Athena is. You don't get that type of love. You don't get that type of support for just anybody. And Athena, she was that innocent little girl that didn't, she couldn't find a bad bone in anybody. She just wanted to love people and be loved. She would be anyone's friend. So I think the amount of support is just echoing who she truly is. And I'm happy to share her with the world because Athena deserves to be known. I wish it was for other reasons, obviously. I forgot your second half of the question.
Oh, just how would you like people to remember her? I think we know a lot about her by now.
I mean, any amount of happiness that someone could find at all, whether it's you're out on the lake, you go fishing, or you see a really pretty horse along the side of the road, that happiness you feel, that's what I want you to remember about Athena. That's what she brought to all of us. She was happy, and she was bright, and she was kind. I want people to remember that about her.
Talking about Athena's Army now. That's why we're here today.
Yes.
This is a nonprofit that you started to build something in her name, and I think it's playing a role in some of the healing in all of this, to have a legacy for her. What is it about, and can you kind of tell us the mission?
So, I can't replicate the light that she brought into my life, into everyone else's life that got to know her. But I do believe, even though she was just 7 years old, that she would have continued to bring light to people. And so I'm hoping through the nonprofit, we can bring a little bit of that to people that need it, as well as graduating seniors. I want them to have, let me back up here. It's not just about Athena. I know that there are people out there that have absolutely horrible upbringings. I know that there are people out there that don't get the kind of support that our family has seen. I want to be that relief for people as much as I can be. Yeah. I want people to know that they're not alone. And I will never have the honor of a mother to see Athena graduate high school, to send her off to college, or maybe take up a trade, or become a mom. So, if I can give a little bit of that light to some graduating seniors, that helps me know that Athena's still here. Mm-hmm. And in one way or another, she's still here. So, the scholarship is called the Athena Strand's Army You Can Be Anything Scholarship. Mm-hmm. Because I hope, at least through me, that these graduating seniors hear it from one person. They may not know me, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. But I want them to know that as long as they're kind and they work hard, they can be anything that they want to be.
Mm-hmm. She was at Paradise ISD for a bit.
Yes, she was.
So it's conceivable that she may have or could have graduated from this high school where you're going to be today.
Yes.
What's that going to feel like to stand there and award those scholarships today?
Well, I haven't done it yet. I don't know. I don't want it to feel morbid. I don't want it to be sad. I want them to be happy. Mm-hmm.
But you get to share a little bit of something that maybe they're going through that you'll never have.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it will feel good for me to be able to, in some way, share a part of that light that Athena brought to the world. Mm-hmm. It's not the same light. It's not her. But there's so much darkness. Mm-hmm. I just want to shed a little light for.
When the death penalty verdict finally came in, it took the jury less than 3 hours. Maitlyn says she finally slept for the first time in years. I could imagine. There's no way. No way. But she is so honest about the reality of grief. She says her and the interviewer agree that I think grief just changes its shape. It don't go away. It don't do whatever. It just changes its shape. And you're still grieving, especially in this circumstance. This is one of the main circumstances. I'm sure I would never be able to get out. I don't know. It would just change its shape. That's literally the best way to put it. And she does not think that blissful happiness will ever find her again. But she is finding small moments of it with her youngest daughter. When I heard her say she don't think blissful happiness will ever find her again, that part actually broke my heart also. Because just think about it. She's never going to be able to get it out of her head. She's never going to be able to be happy again. Because think if it was your baby or anything like that. You're never going to be able to be blissfully happy again. And I just feel so bad for her. But luckily now she has something to focus on. She is now focused on Athena's army. It is a non-profit she started to bring light to other kids. She is awarding scholarships called the You Can Be Anything. Hold on. Whew. Because she will never get to see Athena graduate or become a mom herself. And as she says, and this is so right, there's so much darkness in the world right now, and she just wants to shed a little bit of light for someone else that needs it. Athena was not just a victim. She was a bright, kind, and happy little girl. She definitely insinuates that Athena was a happy little girl, for sure. And she just wanted to be everyone's friend. And honestly, I think she would be so, so proud of her mom, for sure. Let me know what you think about Maitlyn's strength in the comments. The strength it takes to go through something like this. It's just so unimaginable when I try to think about it. This is one that is going to stick with me until the end. It ain't just the case. It's a 7-year-old little baby girl. I literally have an 8-year-old daughter. That might be why it gets to me so much. But it does. And it will stick with me till the end. Whew. Always remember, the truth deserves to be told, no matter how hard it is to hear. Always deserves to be told. If you don't care, give us a like and subscribe if you like the content and you're still here. It is more appreciated than you realize or than you know. So more appreciated. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.